hated myself after doing that. Like, I couldn't even sleep that night. Like, I couldn't even get over it until I released it and like talked about it. If I feel like I need to cry, I cry. If I feel like I need to vent to somebody, I'm going to vent to somebody. If I feel like I need to be angry, I'm going to be angry. If I feel like I need to just be quiet and isolate and take the day off, I'm going to do that. Like, whatever it is that my body is telling me that I need, and my, all of that comes with feelings, because your feelings is how your body is communicating with you. Whatever you choose to do, it'll be the right decision. And that just gave me so much peace. And I hope it could give you peace also. Because we ain't saints and we ain't sinners.
Yes, sir. I fuck with
that. Welcome to the TheSaintPod.
Here, welcome back to the TheSaintPod. Far from saints, far from sins. This is a place we're making y'all winners. Who do we have here today?
Who do we have here today? Like, shout out to you.
Appreciate
the latest and the greatest.
I appreciate the greatest.
The latest and the greatest in the podcast game. But I'm excited to be here with you. What's up, guys? My name is Crystal. I'm a full-time educator. Hence as to how we met each other and ended up here. A full-time mom, full-time dog mom. Shout out to us. It's like a whole job, a whole other job. A creator and an advocate.
Yes.
What's up?
Yeah. No, and the reason why I brought you on this podcast is because you have amazing character, you have amazing presence, and you're also a free thinker. So this podcast is not just for rappers or artists or just people that just people that just make art. It's also people that just are great people. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I brought you on the podcast. That's why I want to share. That's why I want you to share with them today your vibe and your energy and all that. All right, can we do that?
Yeah, I hope they can feel it.
She a little nervous, y'all. I ain't gonna lie.
I hope I can make them feel it.
She a little nervous, y'all. Tell her stop being nervous. Shake it off real quick, bro. Zaya. But nah, so the whole episode today, I want to talk about character, right? And someone like yourself that has such strong character, I want to ask you, were you always this person? Did you always have strong character, and where did it come from?
All right, so when you first introduced this topic to me, right, I'm like, okay, I know what character is, but I feel like I need to look at a definition. Like, what makes someone's character, right? So the definition is the mental and moral qualities distinctive to an individual. Very simple definition, but can be broken down so deeply. So we have like this mental component, your mentality, the way you think, right? And then your morals are what you learn to believe is right and wrong to me.
Right.
So your question was, what was your question?
Did you always have this character? Like this strong sense of character?
Okay, so.
And where did it come from?
As far as I remember, I would like to say that, like everyone else, it's there. Like it's something you're born into, like depending on the type of things that you experience and your upbringing and just like the morals that were already instilled within you, because your upbringing all has to do with that, and just naturally like adopting the beliefs of the generations before you who raised you.
Right.
And then as you get older, like just trying to navigate your way through all of that and deciding like what you want to keep and what you don't want to keep.
Right.
But as far as I can remember, like early on as a child in school and just socially, like I never had a desire to want to be like someone else or fit in with a certain kind of crowd. And that part I think came from the mentality and the morality that was passed on to me by essentially you know, like my father being like my primary caregiver for most of my life. So he would just always say certain things to like really make my sister and I like believe in ourselves, and like what, you know, like always whatever it is that you believe in, like make sure you stand on that. And you know, I think that all ties in with character too, because it's like it's not telling you what to believe, but it's telling you, you know, once you do figure out what you believe, make sure that's what you really believe. You have good reason behind it. You know, you're conscious about why you're even choosing that, and then really stand behind it. So
So you know what it sounds like you're saying is your self-worth is heavily tied into your character.
It is.
And you feel like that was installed to you by your father.
Yes.
And so do you feel like if your father wasn't as present, or just didn't install that self-worth into you, you feel as though like your character would still be shaky? Or how what you think?
I mean, it's hard to say, because it's like this is the way that it turned out, so this is all I know, you know. So it's hard to kind of like separate yourself from that and think about the what ifs.
I think you raise a good point though about saying your environment though does shape you, and your character. I do believe the people around you and the 5 people you're closest with in general is what shapes you. And I do believe that as well. I do also feel like in my experience, I do believe my folks around me gave me the tools to like build my own self, but I feel like a lot of it did come internally. It felt like I feel like a lot of it came from myself in isolation. I felt very different from everybody else, like you were saying earlier, and I was interested in different stuff than everybody else. And you know, that loneliness, I guess, and it's not even loneliness in a bad way, just like I was just literally alone in every aspect, and it formed a character within me to basically choose who I wanted to be instead of just adopting everybody else's nature.
Yeah, for sure, because it's like I remember certain times challenging certain things, you know, and that's when that part kind of kicked in for me. Like it's like I'm adopting certain things, but at the same time I'm paving my own way. And
Facts.
you know, I'm challenging things that are being taught to me, and things that are around me and could be an influence. So just always feeling very strong-minded about things, like not really thinking too much about the social consequence it might have if I don't want to follow a certain trend, or hang with certain people, or just make certain choices. Like it always made sense to me to follow my heart and my head, you know, because I think you really need to use both. And I think like going back to that, the mentality part and the morality is like your morale kind of stems from your heart, and you know, all things connected to that, and then the mentality is obviously connected to like your logic and your thinking. So
and I feel like a lot of people have a hard time balancing that. Do you know how you balance it on a general basis?
I mean, balance is important, period. Like just knowing that everything has a balance and trying to keep yourself you know, right in the middle. Like
I feel like in my experience, I try to process my emotions, but I don't act on my emotions. So I process my emotions, but I make sure I'm thinking logically to be like, all right, like we should do this or we shouldn't do that. But you should always make it a point to always process your emotions, especially as a man too, because that's how you get crash outs. You feel me? And like you do things that just don't make sense.
Damn, we just crashing out.
True.
It's like
that's very true. It's just very true. I feel like when you lead with your heart, a lot of times, you do things that don't make sense to your brain, but it's because you're reacting. You're not acting anymore. You're just reacting, and once you react, you lose all your power.
Yeah, and listen, we're not saints and we're not sinners. Like it's something that I'm still practicing. You know, like as we're sitting here talking about it, I'm thinking about different kind of situations that I've been in recently where it's like, certain things are still being challenged for me, and it, in turn it's making me challenge myself to like want to do better and do better. But that's all in the mindset part, having mindfulness. Shout out to my friend Nefertiti, because she was the one who like really introduced me to that concept, and
that's really her
I've
name?
never stopped thinking about it. Like,
that's really her name?
Yeah.
What's up?
Neff. What's up, Neff? But yeah, she that's her thing, mindfulness.
Yeah.
Like, she's very into the spiritual world, and like yoga, and just her presence is like one of those presence that everybody just feels like, and anybody who's around it would just be lucky to be around her. Like, she's just like very calming, and she knows how to like recenter very well. And so she introduced that to me, and like I said, it's been stuck with me on an everyday basis. So I'm really grateful for that. And it's just like knowing when you need to have those balances, knowing when you need to have the logic versus the love, or when you need to have a little bit of both for the sake of the balance. Like, just the more you think about those things, that's the mindfulness part, the more action you can put behind the changes that you're trying to make. So that is definitely a big part of building character as well.
All right, you started talking about experiences that you had, so I want to get a little into your personal life a little bit, if you don't mind. I want you to think about a moment where you felt like you might have lost yourself. And what did it teach you about who you really were?
A moment.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, you can.
It? Okay. I'll go first. Since...
Yeah, you could. I mean, I think I'm.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
But no, I can speak on something that probably a moment where I feel like I lost myself was when I started to shed a lot of my, like, when you're graduating high school, you start to shed a lot of your how can I say, traits that you had, or the things you were into. Maybe they starting to shred because you're getting into adulthood, and you feel like you might not be able to do certain things or feel certain ways anymore. And I feel like I started to kind of conform in a way to like the people around me a little more. And it wasn't necessarily a bad thing, because it was not like I was doing anything bad. It just was, I was just simply conforming. And the reason why I say I lost myself is just because I just felt like I didn't have any individuality anymore. I started dressing the same. I started, listening to the same music everybody's listening to. I didn't have my own style, like, what I'm saying? And that's how I feel like I started to lose myself. And this taught me, like, the world and the people wear uniforms, even when they're not at a job or in school. People have a uniform of thinking, people have a uniform of dressing, uniform of everything, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like that just taught me, it's like I don't want to be just another B, you know what I'm saying? Like, I want to just be somebody else, you know what I'm saying? And when you take back your power of, like, being your own individual, I don't know, it just makes you happier. It makes you happier, it makes you more fulfilled. People are complimenting you more, people are talking to you more, because you're a different person. Like, a lot of people, I get that a lot. Like, even if it's not a compliment, sometimes people be like, you talk a little different, you know what I'm saying? Like, are you from here? You know what I'm saying? Or like, you interested in that? You mean, like, people, and especially the way I look, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't expect me to be the way I appear a lot of times. And but that's what makes me me. So, like, it's kind of tough at the same time.
Yeah. All right, so mine might be a little deeper.
Go ahead, twin. Lock in.
Not to take away with what you just shared.
Nah, she said, fuck
I
your
totally
shit.
relate to it. I totally, like, hear what you're saying.
Nah, I want you to get deep, though.
So a time when I feel like I lost myself, I would have to say, is when I was faced to make a decision that I always had told myself I would never do, or I could never do. And I maybe even have, like, placed judgment amongst others who have gone through it. and just to put it out there, like, you know, judge other women, because it's essentially something that we have the choice of. And for me, it was just being faced with becoming pregnant for a second time, and it not being with someone that I was in a relationship, an exclusive, like, serious relationship with. It was not a great time. Like, I had just got my house and was going through the whole feeling and experience of becoming a homeowner, and like all the stress and things that comes with that. And because of that, it was like part of the reason why I didn't even notice that, like, my body was really going through these changes. And I thought I was just going through changes because of the stress that I was under, because of all of that. And my dog needing surgery, like, it was just a lot of things going on at the same time. And I was really conflicted with myself, because I've always told myself, like, you know, children are blessings, and, you know, choosing not to go through with a pregnancy is wrong. And you know, I wouldn't be able to, like, live with myself. And you know, so boom, so now I'm in a situation where I'm faced with having to make this exact decision. Like, it's something that I don't know if all women, you know, I don't speak for all women, but for me, it was just something that had crossed my mind before. Like, damn, like, what if I ever had to do that, or if I ever had to, you know, make a decision, or not even that, but just like, in what situation would I say yes to doing that, or say no to doing it? Like, where do you draw the line with all of that? And it's just one of those kind of things where you don't know how you're going to deal with it until you're actually in the situation dealing with it. And for me, it was like I had to factor in a lot of different things with that decision. And going through that whole process really made me feel like I lost myself, and I was like reborn in a way, because it's like something that I said I never would do before is something that I ended up feeling like I had to do. And it wasn't something that I just decided to do overnight, or I just, you know, did it like and didn't care. You know, it was really difficult. And you know, it might come as a surprise for a lot of people who see this, who care about me. And you know, because it was even something that I kept to myself from certain people. I mean, there are people that I like shared this with, for sure. But there's a lot of people that I didn't. And you know, that was a conflict in itself with me, because it's like, why aren't you confident in your decision? Why don't you want to talk about it? And you know, but going back to like having to make that decision, it really was something that was thought out. It was one of them type joints, like, you're literally writing down your pros and cons, and you know, thinking about all the different things that are going to take play in the situation. Do I want to force somebody else to have a child that's saying they don't want to have another child right now? And do I want to raise a child that's asking me why their other parent isn't around as much as I am? Or do I even want to have full responsibility of a child on my own? And like, you know, while I'm being very hard on myself, and it's like, you put yourself in this situation type thing, you know, you also have to like give yourself grace in certain situations. And I think this situation, it broke me down to a place where I've never been before. Like, I want to say it's been about 2 going on 3 years now. So I'm at a space and time where like I can comfortably talk about it without crying and stuff like that. But I'm glad that I get to share it now, because you know, it might help someone else in that situation, like work through those feelings. Because I did talk to women before, and it's like some of them were like, man, well, well, I have gone through that too, and it's people that you would never expect, and it's like they're not speaking up about it until I bring it up, or I have brought it up, and so it's like, wow, like I'm not the only person that's like experiencing this, and pretty much everybody was like, well, it's something that is going to be really tough in the beginning, but you can eventually get over it. And I mean, that's a whole nother story, because everyone has like a different outlook on it. But for me, it was just like very depressing. Like, I hated myself after doing that. Like, I couldn't even sleep that night. Like, I'm thinking about ways to get back to a doctor and like reverse this whole thing. Like, I'm the worst person ever. I can't believe I'm doing this. And like, fast forward now and just like taking time and space to get over that. And in order to do that, like you were saying earlier, I kind of had to like isolate myself and like really reboot, like start building the character all over again and building on the character, because it's like now my morals have changed, like my mentality changed.
Your character started to have cracks in it, because this thing that you said you would never do, you know what I'm saying, or you feel like you've never seen yourself in this position, you were put in that position, and that starts to put cracks in your identity as well. And that's why also I'm saying, like, you have to build your character back again. You know what I'm saying? Because it changes who you are. And I just want to also know, like, how did this change your character as well? Like, how would you say this builds your character in a totally different way? And I also appreciate your vulnerability too. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, well, look, it has had an impact on that, just being more vulnerable, because in a way it was like I couldn't even get over it until I released it and like talked about it, and it helped me learn who I really am as like an adult and like a woman who's growing into an even much more mature woman than I already am, like being more graceful with myself, like being more graceful with other people, because like I said, before, it was something that I may have placed judgment on, even subconsciously, because I like to think that, like you said, I'm a pretty free thinker. Like, I think people are entitled to like move however they want to move. Do you? But in the same token, it's like we have subconscious thoughts,
definitely,
and biases. And I was very hard on myself, probably because of like my upbringing and like religion and stuff like that, so ultimately having a relationship with God, in my way, I feel like God essentially guided me to that place and having to face that challenge. So instead of questioning, like, why am I faced with this? Why is it me going through this? Like, nah, like, I'm just gonna go along for the ride, put my big girl panties on, and do what the fuck I gotta do. Like,
not to cut you off real quick, I was just gonna say, I think that raises a good point too. Accountability. You know what I'm saying? Even if something bad really does happen to you, out of your control, whatever the case is, the only way to move on, the only way to really carry it, is to take accountability and move on. You know what I'm saying? If you continue to be a victim for the rest of your life, and not just with this situation, I'm just meaning with anything that ever happens in your life, maybe you got a bad relationship with your parents, or in this made you have bad relationships with your partners, whatever the case is. If you continue to hold on to your like childhood, you'll never grow like that. You know what I'm saying? And like, you taking accountability, it definitely probably like grew you. It probably definitely shifted you into a whole different person. I just want you to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, kind of accountability is major. Like, I had to take accountability for the fact that I wasn't being safe.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I put myself in a position, essentially, for that to happen. So it's like, let's take accountability, and then let's also make sure we're making changes.
They learn from this, right?
Because if we're not making changes, then what was the point of even taking the accountability and doing all the reflecting and all that, right? So that was like the basic accountability part. But then it's also like, I had to take accountability for being very hard on myself and not giving myself grace for making such a big decision. And shout out to my other friend Shayna, because she really like helped me through that time a lot. Like the stuff that she would say to me was, I needed it. I needed to hear it. And she used to try to stay very neutral, like, you know, whatever you choose to do is going to be right, you know. And that's something that has still stuck with me, and I think about that, and I've even said that to other people in other situations. Like, I'm passing that message along, like I'm passing it along now, because it's like
that's
that
powerful.
you can't beat yourself up about about something like that, you know. Like, this is a situation, just like anything else, you know. It's a problem. This is a problem that's a challenge, right? Either you're gonna sit and fester in the problem, or you're going to try to solve it, right? And to me, her words were like, don't be too hard on yourself. Like, to me, that means whichever way you choose to go with this is going to be right, because you're listening to your inner self and what you know to be best.
Right.
And now, looking back on it 2-3 years later, I do think I made the right decision. Do I want to have to make that decision again? Absolutely not. Right. But because I went through it, I know what I have to do to not end up there again. And I know how to be graceful with myself, because it was a tough situation and decision, and I just had to make it. And I could sit here all day long and think about, you know, well, I could have did it, and I could have this, and then and shoulda, coulda, woulda, but didn't, and that's just it. And that's just it. So moving on, you know, just trying to stay focused on the reason why I made the decision. These are your goals right now. This is what we're trying to do. This is what we're working towards. Make sure it's working, you know?
No, definitely. And before we wrap this segment up, I just want you to give any advice to anyone that's going through this right now, or anything like similar, that's struggling with the decisions of it all. Like anything that, like, any advice, like stuff that you would want to know or want to hear while you were going through that.
Whatever you choose to do, it'll be the right decision.
Shout out Shayna. Nah, I'm actually gonna use that. That's actually
whatever you choose to do, it's gonna be the right decision. And that just gave me so much peace, and I hope it could give you peace also, because we ain't saints and we ain't sinners.
Yes, I fuck with that.
All right, so another time was when I ended up in the hospital with super pneumonia that started from the flu. So I'm like missing out on Christmas with family because I just really wasn't feeling well. I was home obviously at first, like just trying to get through things, drinking all these teas with onions and garlic and all kinds of stuff I never had before. Grandma started sending over all kinds of stuff because I'm like, my chest feels like it won't open up. Like I'm having trouble going up and down the stairs. I'm calling my dad, like, I need you to bring a cooler up here because I'm super dehydrated and like I need to constantly have like either water or like a Gatorade or something, and I need ice. And he's like, but you need like you can't even go get ice from downstairs, like, you know, this doesn't sound too well. Like I think you need to go get checked out or something. So when I stopped like wanting to eat and everything, I ended up going to Einstein. And
man, not Einstein.
Listen,
they be killing niggas out there.
They took me to the doghouse, and
if you know, you know, man.
I'm laughing because my dad be calling it the SPCA. What is it? SPCA. Yeah, so they took me. I had to call an ambulance. I felt like I couldn't even walk or like stand up straight. It was like a bunch of pressure on my chest. So they took me. Long story short, they sent me home with like a little asthma pump, some Tylenol. You'll be okay in a couple days. Like, it's the flu.
Yeah.
Whatever. So I go back home, trying to do some more recovering. It's not getting any better. It's getting worse. So a couple days later, my dad took me to Chestnut Hill Hospital. And when I got there, they ran all different kinds of tests, like an MRI, EKG, a CAT scan, and, you know, the whole nine. And they're like, look, you know, they're actually showing me pictures. Like, they didn't do that before. They told me they did an x-ray. They told me it came out fine, sent me home. So they showed me this x-ray, and it's like all this black stuff around my lungs or whatever the case. Yeah. And it's going all from one side, almost completely filling up the other. So they're like, look, this is pneumonia. Like, yes, you have the flu, but the flu developed into what we call a super pneumonia. You need to stay here. Like, there's no way you can go back home. And, you know, we're going to get you situated, whatever. So they take me. This is the first of the year, January 1st, like my birthday, January 3rd. So I'm there for my birthday. I'm in this little tight, hot room, no ventilation, no windows. Everybody's sick, so it's packed in there. They didn't have a room to transfer me to right away because it was like the flu and pneumonia. You know, they usually do double rooms, but with the pneumonia, they can't put you with the flu people. So it was just this whole big thing. And so finally, the night of my birthday, they get me into a room. But basically at that point, they had told me that I became septic to it. Like, it just was like all in my bloodstream. They're giving me like all types of strong like IV medications that I've never had before. Like, my whole arm felt like it was on fire. Like, and I'm just like willing to take whatever, like just whatever you could do to make me feel better, I'm with it. So
so you could have died.
Yeah, that's basically what they told me. Like, of course they use their medical like proper, you know, in the nicest way possible. They tell you that, like, you know, if you didn't come in, you wouldn't have been coming in. Like, you know, so it was just like really stressful to go through all of that. And then it's just like, I got the dogs at home. I got my son. I'm running out of sick days at work. I got bills to pay. The house is all alone by itself. Like, I'm just thinking about all of my responsibilities and me last.
Right.
And I had to, like, people in my life literally had to come talk to me like, Crystal, you need to calm down. Yeah. You need to focus on what you're going through right here, right now. Yeah. We got all this out here. Like, you know, so it really took, first of all, I really learned who my people were. Right? Like, you think you know, but then now you really know when you go through a situation like that. Of course, like, not being harsh on anybody for like not visiting or anything like that, because it's just like, you know, but not to open that can of worms, but it just was like very stressful getting all of this news and feeling like you don't know what's going to come next when you're a very predictable person who likes to have like discipline and a routine and, you know, so it really like threw me off of my whole thing that I had going on. And
how long did this all transpire? Like,
it was,
how long were you in the hospital for?
I was in the hospital for like 2 to 3 weeks.
Long ass time.
Yeah, it's a long time. So at first they gave me like the antibiotics to like fight the pneumonia off, and then it was like, well, and forgive me for like trying to remember details because this was over a year now, so I don't remember like every single thing that happened, but I know that, you know, with the antibiotics and stuff, like it helped reduce the amount of pneumonia, but because of how severe it was, at first they had to give me like some chest tubes, which I was awake for. It was very painful. Like they say they numb the side of your body by using this huge thick needle that's kind of like an epidural needle. Man. And it goes in between your ribs, so like, and you're on your side, like you can't move, and it's just like 5 people around you at the same time in this cold, like all white room, and it's just so that procedure took place first, and the tubes had to stay inside, so that was very uncomfortable. That's like when I really started needing to like take severe pain medication, and that didn't work. So at first it looked like it was working, like liquid was being drained out, and then it just started looking like clots, like it was getting stuck. So what happened was, it turned into, I want to say it's called empyema, which is like that liquid is no longer liquid, is turning into pus, and it's getting stuck in or around the perimeter of like the lung. And so now they're like, okay, well, you know, the antibiotics by itself didn't work and the chest tubes didn't work, and so now we need to, for one, monitor all your other organs to make sure that this isn't affecting anything else, because that's what happens, right? And then we have to like do this whole surgery now to go in there and use special tools and things to like break down all of that pus so that we can manually like take it out. And, you know, while we do that, your lung is going to collapse. And, you know, it's going to take some time for that function to come back. And so I could definitely feel that, like after the surgery, I definitely felt a huge relief. Like I just felt in my body that like whatever residual damage or whatever, you know, was taking place internally, like I finally felt like I got rid of it. And even with that, it was like I still had to be on antibiotics for like weeks and weeks after. I lost a bunch of weight, like
all them gains,
about like 15 pounds I lost, and I just from like not eating and not walking around, you know, like just in the bed for 2 weeks straight, not taking a bath, like having to get washed up with a rag and not washing my hair, and just so
what kept you just strong?
I was journaling. I had my village of people around me, you know, like my dad, he was there every single day with me, bringing me different whatever I was in the mood to eat, he would bring it. If it wasn't him, like my aunts making me something, or my grandmom, or both of my grandmoms. My mom flew in from Florida, like, you know, and I'm just thinking like, kind of downplaying what I'm going through in a sense. Like I'm scared about it, but it's still like I'm downplaying it to a degree where it's just like, I gotta get out of here. I gotta get back to what I'm like, you know, and it's like, you're really going through something right now. And just like seeing my mom, you know, make such a big travel. She lives in Florida, so her getting on a plane spontaneously, you know, she has like a really important role in her career and everything, that it's not easy to just get up and go. So just having like her come up and just like receiving that love, journaling, pain medication, like you know, being able to talk to my son every day and just like hearing his voice and getting his pictures and his little messages and stuff, people sending me flowers and like having my room filled up with stuff like that, and just having the support of like some really great doctors and nurses, and you know, really just like embracing what people were telling me to just like chill. Don't worry about all this other stuff outside of what you're going through, and just sit with and for yourself right now to like get better, and then come out and like do all these things. So just like really grateful to have people there to lean on.
And just to wrap up this segment, how do you feel like this translated into building your character?
Well, also with being graceful with myself, like it's not something I could have controlled, you know what I mean? Like I just ended up here, and so it's like just being easier on myself, being patient. Being patient was like major, because I was ready to go. Like every day I'm asking the doctors, like, how many more days do you think and then now after the fact I'm like, damn, I could have enjoyed a couple more days in there. I was living the life. I didn't have to cook. I didn't have to clean. Like I didn't have to work. You know, I pulled my laptop out a couple times and tried to do a couple things, and everybody's like, what are you doing right now? IEP right now? Like, so, yeah, just like patient, living in the moment, even though it wasn't the best situation for someone to be in, just being there and taking it like one step at a time.
Gratitude.
It's nothing that I can do to rush this process. And it's like the more stress I put behind it and the more I wanted to get out of there, they would come back with some more news like, well, it's not looking good. We got to do, you know, we got to go with plan B, sign these papers. We need to go to plan C. So it's just like towards the end of it, just having to calm down, be patient, embrace what was going on, take what I was going to take from it, turn it into a positive, and keep building.
I want to get into false identities. So I feel like when you're growing up, you kind of just adopt certain stuff along the way. And I just want to know if it was any point like you created a version of yourself to just survive in the environment where you were in, or any kind of identity you just took on that wasn't really you. You know what I'm saying? Did that ever, like, you ever experience anything like that? Or like,
you know, I guess you tell me if this fits, if I'm thinking along the right lines here, but I feel like I can be overly forgiving sometimes, and I feel like I do it because it hurts less to just like accept people and things for what they are, and just like try to move on from that. But I don't always want to forgive that much. Like some stuff I be like, you know what? This is like, no, like, you know? But it's always just like, you know what? Like, to each his own. You know, you can't control what people are doing. You can't control how every situation turns out. And so, like, just learning to forgive and accept things as they are, I feel like that has been part of my survival mode, kit.
I would say that's really powerful. I always use that. I ain't gonna lie. Cause I ain't gonna lie, bro. When you do hold grudges, you're really hurting yourself. Yeah. All the time. It hurts a lot too. Whether you realize it or not, when you hold grudges, you hold that energy in you. Like, and when you hate something, you hate somebody, you hate a situation, the only person that's feeling that is just you. You feel me? So I never try to carry that. I do forgive. I don't forget necessarily, you know what I'm saying? Because I move, I learn, I understand, but I'm not holding it in, you know what I'm saying? And I'm telling you, you will never be happy like that. I know a lot of people like that. I feel like everybody can probably relate. Someone that's just like always talking about the same situation all day, every day. Like, you in pain, you know what I'm saying? And it's not good to hold on to that. That fits. That fits. Yeah. You got anything to add on that?
I mean, just going back to balance, like, it could get tricky, and be careful with stuff like that also, because it's
sure.
like you could be too forgiving and you could be too lenient and too welcoming, and you know what I mean, and it's just like now you're opening the doors for disrespect,
Definitely.
unlikely circumstances, and being taken advantage of and stuff like that. So just being aware, having that mindfulness, keeping that balance, and staying aware, you know.
No, definitely. I feel like we're similar in that way. I feel like we're really nice people and generous people, and just like everybody come in, give me a, you know what I'm saying, just like real welcoming. And I do like that nature of myself, and especially living in Philly, especially being a man and black and all that, you feel me, like being like that isn't really accepted, like, you know.
I've had people like look down on me because of that sometimes, like you know, like literally side eye me.
Not for sure.
Especially in school kind of situations also, you know, because everybody has this concept of how kids should be treated and whatever, like
right
you could have the worst behavior in the world, I got love for you, like
for sure.
You know, so I've had people look down on me like, well, damn, you know, this girl, she ain't, you know, they think because you're that way, you're not thoughtful and you're not intelligent, and you're very naive, and you know, now they know better than you, and they can do better than you, and it's just like, little do you know, I got this whole awareness going on up here with everything that's being brought to this room, you know, right now, and it's just part of like knowing who you are, and just
facts. And you just gotta be you, like, you know what I'm saying, you just gotta understand it for yourself. And I just want to say also, for people that's dealing with that, maybe you feel like you're too nice or you're too forgiving, whatever the case is, your power comes in where you put your boundaries at. That's really where your power is, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people like to have a shield up, a wall up, and nobody can get through it. That's very dangerous, and it doesn't garner good and healthy relationships, and also probably destroys your relationship with yourself. The way you should really carry it, you have boundaries with people, you know what I'm saying? So I'm very nice, I'm very open, but if I tell you not to do something and you violate it, you'll never hear from me again. You know what I'm saying? It's stuff like that, and I take that real serious. So some people might say that's I'm like a stickler on certain things, but like I just know my character and who I am and what I want and what I expect. You feel me? But that's how I can still carry it with smiles. I'm still like, I say hi, how you doing to everybody I see. I never let it fully change me. Like I was changing a little bit. I started to stop doing that a lot, and that's another thing about character. You never want to change because of how the world perceives you.
See, but you never felt like you needed someone to forgive you, like in those situations where you're being a stickler about certain things. You never felt like you needed somebody to have that grace with you.
What you mean?
You know what I mean?
No, like elaborate. What you mean?
All right, so you said, like, if you tell someone not to do something, and they do it again, and then you just cut them off forever, like, you don't think you've ever ended up on the other side of that, where it's like someone asked you not to do something and you maybe did it a second time or whatever the case may be, and you needed to like reflect and maybe apologize and be forgiven, like
for sure. Not really. I ain't gonna lie. I'm really mindful of people. I ain't gonna lie. I was gonna say but like no, not really.
Because for me, I'm that's how I am. I be needing to be forgiven sometimes, like, and that's me taking accountability for me, because I know that I'm not perfect. Like,
see, I'm a saint.
Oh my god.
Nah. I understand that though.
Yeah.
No, for sure. I mean, it's certain, but it's certain things. It's certain lines. It's certain.
All right,
lines.
yeah, certain stuff. Lines. Yeah, it's certain.
I'm not saying things. Maybe they didn't text me back. And I'm like, fuck you. It's not like that.
Right,
it's not. Like, it's just, I'm saying some boundaries you have to have with people. You know what I'm saying? So they don't walk all over you. You know what I'm saying? Because listen, the same person does the same thing 3 times, you feel me, 4 times, 5 times, and they are completely aware of what you're asking for, especially if it's not nothing crazy.
Okay.
You mean?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it depends on like the details of what we're talking about and stuff.
You're right.
But, what were we talking about?
Identity.
Okay.
But actually, let's move on to the next segment. Actually, I want to talk about discipline versus self-abandonment. Okay. So how do you stay committed to growth without turning your back on your feelings?
Perseverance. You fall, you got to get back up. You could take a little minute or two, dust it off, get yourself together, say your little mantra, fix yourself up, and keep it pushing, because life never stopped for me. I don't know about y'all, but life never stopped for me.
But in that discipline where you're growing and you're locked in or whatever, you're grinding, how do you not turn into a robot? You know what I'm saying? How do you not neglect your feelings at the same time? You feel me? 'Cause I feel like that can make you blow up at the end of the day, or burn out, or whatever the case is. Do you have anything that you do?
I mean, I guess just putting yourself first. The first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is I have to walk my dogs. They have to go out, so there's this discipline that comes with that. But at the same time, you think every single morning I feel like waking up and going outside with dogs? What about in the middle of January in Philly when it's freezing cold and icy and it's dark out, and who wants to throw on 3 layers of clothes and go out? And so in that, first of all, praising myself for being able to have that kind of discipline, right? Because that part is not something that I had to do. Like a job, you have to have a job to make money to maintain your bills and your living, right? The dogs is something that I brought into my life for my own personal choice. So even though I'm being forced to have this routine with them, it's something that I chose to keep myself moving a certain way. So just having reasoning behind what you do, I feel helps. And you gotta remind, what is the topic? Because
you're actually hitting it.
I lose.
No, you're hitting it. It's how do you basically stay on your grind and discipline while not neglecting your own feelings, without abandoning yourself?
Oh, okay,
so,
okay.
Right there, you said basically the intention behind what you're doing, remembering it while you're doing something. Yeah,
and also just having a job and getting up for the job, that's not necessarily for me, right? I don't really hear anybody saying, I love to wake up in the morning and go to work. Unless you really, really love, and I love what I do too, but at the end of the day, I'm working for a corporation. It's not so anyways, that's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother pod. But, it's before I get up and go to this job, I'm going to get up and go outside with my dogs. Those dogs that I chose to bring into my life, that bring me stability, that bring me discipline, that bring me support, that bring me happiness and joy and their physical activity. They're bringing me a lot of positive things, right? And it was a reason for me having them. Of course they're adorable and I love the cuddles and all that, but the dogs for me was part of building a certain disciplined lifestyle. If I'm gonna have to be so cut out with my day, I'm gonna put things within my day that are for me. And if it starts with them, and even before getting out of bed, I'm gonna take my time to get out of bed, and if I want to have a book by the bed, so I might want to wake up and read it or go to sleep to it. Just making sure that I'm doing little things.
Having a space for yourself.
Yes. I like that. Always having a space for myself. And I think you mentioned having a space for feelings.
Yeah.
I'm not scared of my feelings. If I feel like I need to cry, I cry. If I feel like I need to vent to somebody, I'm going to vent to somebody. If I feel like I need to be angry, I'm gonna be angry. If I feel like I need to just be quiet and isolate and take the day off, I'm gonna do that. Whatever it is that my body is telling me that I need, and my all of that comes with feelings, because your feelings is how your body is communicating with you. So being aware of that, for one, and then being able to do something about it, I'm in control of my life. So no matter how many bills are waiting for me, no matter how many paid time off I don't have anymore, like, I'm doing exactly what it is that my body is telling me to do.
For sure. I love that answer. That's probably one of my favorite answers so far. That was strong. I like that. And a lot of stuff that you just said, I just want to recap for the people that's not really locked in, is that, you know, you have intention behind what you're doing and what you're working towards. You make sure you have a space for yourself to allow yourself to, whatever it is, grace. You know, just a certain type of meditation. Cause I also see, like, when you walking your dog, that's a sense of meditation.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You probably definitely tap into that. And what was the last one you said? It was okay. Well, y'all heard it already. yeah, I heard it. But the next thing I want to talk about is just, I feel like a lot of people do a lot of the I feel like a lot of people do a lot of things just for the public eye. I want to ask you, is there things that you do in private that helps you build your integrity?
Journal.
Same. Yeah.
This book.
Look, she got it.
And this pen right here.
That's how you know she's studious. She brought a book to the pod.
And I've got several books. Like, keep a book in every room. You know what I mean? Because all this awareness and self-reflecting and these things that we're talking about, like, they stem from the communication that you have with yourself. And journaling is one of those things. Like, you could vent to somebody all day long, but at the end of the day, the stuff that you're talking to someone about, you care about it more than what they care about it. So it's like, it could just be going in one ear out the other, or a friend giving you support, and you know, but then they're off to their own stuff, and it's just like, you're still left with those feelings and those thoughts and your experiences. And I've noticed that I get over things easier and better after writing them down. It's a huge release. So I think that, and just doing it intentionally, you know, like.
Yeah, I definitely feel like journaling is super powerful, and people don't realize, like, journaling is just talking to yourself, you know what I'm saying? But it's on paper, so you can process it way better instead of just thinking in your head and it just goes away, you know what I'm saying? Because you ever been thinking about something and you say it out loud, it sounds stupid. Like, journaling allows you to understand your thoughts and make sure you're thinking in a correct way, because a lot of people me too, I live in my head a lot sometimes. And if I'm not going to the gym, going on walks, I'm not journaling, meditating, it gets really loud, you know what I'm saying? And it's hard to decipher like what's really real and what's not, you mean? So journaling is crazy. It's like a cheat code, ain't gonna lie. Like, but it only works when you're consistent with it. Like, I've tried to get consistent with it my whole life pretty much, but like, it really only works when you're consistent with it.
Yeah, and I can't say that I am all the time, you know, because sometimes I get so caught up in like going from this job to that job, and you know, moving around from the time that I wake up to the time I go to sleep. Like, sometimes you don't feel like doing it, but just having like conversations with people who value it,
definitely.
Who understand the power behind it. Like I said, keeping those books around you. So it's like, even if you don't pick me up right now, I'm still here. Look, like, I feel like my journals be looking at me like, you ain't come pick us up in a minute. Like, what's going on? So it's like,
this right here's a journal to me.
It is.
Like this podcast is definitely like a journal to me, and it helps me. It helps me. I think it helps my guests as well.
Also, I think it helps you replay your patterns, like your thought patterns, and that's part of reflection. Definitely. What is it that I keep wanting to talk about? What is it that I'm putting my energy towards? What is it that I'm mostly writing about? When am I writing? You know, because there was a point in time where I would only write when I was sad, you know, and it's like,
Right.
I have to be doing this all the time, and it's like that it's that consistency part, you know, and then you know, not being hard on yourself like we talked about with that also, and just trying your best.
Yes. Yeah.
Just try.
Yeah, always.
You're gonna make mistakes and mess up, but like that's all proof that you're trying. You're making an effort.
As long as you don't give in, you're gonna win. You know what I'm saying? Like, you only lose when you stop. You know what I'm saying? And this is the last segment, y'all. I just feel like this is probably the most important subject. And if you guys made it this far, I want y'all to subscribe, man. Like, we really do this out of our hearts. You feel me? Like, you know, she over here pouring her hearts out and stuff like that. And you're gonna have a chance to, like, you know, talk about anything else you want to talk about too after this one. But I want to talk about, who are you without the applause? So I feel like we live in a validation fueled world, and I want to see, like, if you know, wasn't around people, you wasn't, you know, posting on social media. If you did, like, how would you classify yourself? You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody clapped for you.
I don't know. I feel like they barely be clapping now, and I'm here. Like, I don't really be paying much attention to that, you know. And like I said, I can't really say, you know, because my last experience is like, I don't really want to put too much on a hypothetical. Like, if I'm not in that situation to know.
So you feel like your values aren't, like, rooted in external validation?
No, I don't think so.
I think in general most people aren't.
I don't think so. I do things based off of how they make me feel, you know. Everybody wants to feel good. So when I follow my heart and I end up in situations and places or with people that I feel like I have a purpose there and I'm contributing to a person or a space, that makes me feel good. And that is praise to me, you know. And then I've noticed that, like, the more I follow those purposes and continue to seek good, the more blessings I receive, the better I feel.
For sure. Definitely.
I end up in more situations with more great people and better opportunities, and like things just keep going up. So that to me is the validation. Like, right. Keep doing what you're doing, because, and there's some stuff on the opposite end of that I've done that maybe aren't the best habits, and they're not the best behaviors or responses to things, right? And then I end up in worse places with worse people and less opportunities. So it's like being mindful of all of that, and knowing how to follow that guide is super powerful too. Like,
for sure. That's self-validation. Your mind wants to be fulfilled, you know what I'm saying? And the only way to get self-validation is by doing things you actually want to do and where your heart really takes you.
All right, there is, like, the only other thing that I had written down that we didn't talk about is facing your fears and having, like, difficult conversations. I feel like that has been major for me in building my character as an adult, like, even as a child, because that's when you start to learn your fears anyway. So it's like the only way I could overcome my fears was to just face them.
Thanks.
And now as an adult, like, one of those fears could be having those difficult conversations. Like, you don't want to be judged. You don't want people to take advantage of your vulnerability. You know, you don't want people to use your weak points against you when it's convenient for them, or they have the space to, like, you know, just being open. Like, that's a fear for me in itself. And overcoming that fear being what I would say is like a big fear. I don't know if right now I want to say it's my biggest fear, but it's a big fear. And just like learning, you know, before other people can accept you, you have to accept yourself.
Right.
You got to accept yourself. And it's just like the good, the bad, the ugly. I love it all about me because it makes me me.
Facts.
And if you feel like that's not for you, then I might just not be like your person or whatever. I you know, like
that's the quickest way to love yourself, though. That's the quickest way to love yourself. You know what I'm saying? And you know, it's called shadow work. You know what I'm saying? That when you try to love the bad side of yourself, you feel me, the dark side of yourself. But when you unlock that, it's a whole nother monster within yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because now it's like you're unlocking everything in you. You're not hiding yourself from nobody. You know what I'm saying? Because you already know yourself, and when you know yourself, you shine for sure. And about the fears thing too. I think I grew up a real kind of insecure, shy, real quiet boy, and I didn't like how certain situations made me feel like it, like just regular like social stuff, like, you know, making friends, stuff like that. So I started to develop this natural response to fear. I started to just go towards it more now, instead of just running away. Because I feel like when you embrace it, the impact is less. I don't know if that makes sense.
It's not so scary. It's not so scary anymore. Like, damn, I did it. You know, like I did it. I overcame it. You know.
And being honest with yourself too is just, and with everybody too is just.
And with everybody, yes, that's a major cheat code, because it's like I'm going, and then you go to sleep just feeling better. Like I have nothing. I don't have nothing to hide. I don't have anything to fabricate for you. Like, this is who I am.
Facts. I just want to say, like, that's really how you build character. I think we hit a lot of points on building character. I think this is really how you build like an unshakable character too. I think the biggest one for me that I'm taking out of this episode is the integrity part and just being honest. Like, I think that's so powerful, because once you're honest with yourself and with everybody else, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and then you notice, right? Like, the more honest and open I am about myself, I notice people's feedback and response to that. Like I said, with that one situation, some people didn't talk about it until I brought it up. And it's like, now they feel comfortable to talk about it. So it's like, it inspires other people.
Facts.
Right?
Facts.
I've seen it. Like, I've seen people around me change. I've gotten that feedback from people. Like, I've been told numerous times that I've had that same impact, and that also is like very validating for me, and I do appreciate that praise, you know, because it's like, these are the things that I'm working on.
Sure.
And people notice, because I'm not talking about the things that I'm working on. I'm just putting it into play with how I'm moving every day, and people acknowledge that. And so the other people who acknowledge it and are also very self-aware and confident, they'll share that with you. You know, some people notice it, but they might get intimidated by it and not say anything. They might start hating on you for it and just start moving a funny kind of way. You know, it's different responses that I've seen, but there are those people that are my people that I connect with, and they're just like, damn, like, you know, you're really doing this, that, and the third, and I acknowledge, you know, these things about you, and just like, keep it up. Like, you know, you inspired me to do this, and you motivated me to move that way, and that's very validating also. But it's the integrity part, you know. To have integrity is like, it'll make someone else who is shaky about it like, damn, I want to have that too. Like, I want to move with that kind of confidence too. And Yeah.
And that's what this whole podcast is about. Not just this one, but the whole brand. It's just honesty and honest conversations, and I feel like it just inspires me, you, and everybody that's watching to just stop hiding who you are and just be you. That's honestly what the whole point is.
We ain't here for a long time.
Not for sure. Far from saints, far from sinners. Like, you're just you. You know what I'm saying? That's
we
the
are
whole
not
point.
here for a long time. Like, live, learn.
Yeah.
Go through your situations as best as you can and just learn from them. Be a lifelong learner. Stay true to yourself. Same thing they done already heard everybody else say, but everybody just...
They don't follow it, though.
Yeah. So,
What's your last message to these people, man? Like, if you know what I'm saying, whatever happens, this is your last message to the internet. You never see no internet again. What would you want to say to them?
Live life. Don't take it too serious, but don't play with it. Just keeping that balance, having integrity, being open and willing to change, looking forward to change, and just know that like your character is something that you can always build on and it can always get better.
Hey man, TheSaintPod with Crystal. I'ma fuck with y'all. Y'all be safe out here. Hey, tell them where they can find you at if you want to, or anything you want to shout out.
My IG is at Chris X Cross, and that's CRYSXCROZ.
Yeah, I put it up for you. All right, say bye.
And that's about it. We ain't on TikTok. We ain't on